4.9 FM in Dakar through our website www.wadr.org.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen.
It's time to embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello, West Africa, and to you, the young leaders from across the world. It's another day, and I am pleased to welcome you to Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio, your inspiring youthful platform where young people engage into fruitful discussions all about their livelihoods. And today we are looking at a topic that is very significant, not only to the young people, but to the countries in which they live, to the governments that govern them, to the livelihoods of other people who are benefiting from their activities. And it is about the role of young people in the informal sector within West Africa. It is very important. We have the right people as guests who will be sharing their expertise with us today, including the pathway forward. And we are live on YouTube and Facebook at WADR English. Let me firstly welcome Ialas Akobi, who is with me in the studio. Akobi is a student of political science and international relations at RSM in Dakar. It's good to have you with us, Akobi. How are you doing, and welcome again?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
How is the Senegal treating you?
It's a little bit hot, but we're managing.
Yeah. Of recent, we're experiencing some heat, but we appreciate you, and I know you're taking some precautionary measures because it's not new to you, though.
No, it's not new to me. There's not really much we can do except try to open the windows and have a fan in the room and stuff like that.
Climate change, my brother. We have to adapt to that. Well, it's good to have you again in our studio. We are also being joined by Omar Manjan, and Omar is the program lead at the World Food Forum Gambia Youth Chapter. He's also an agriculturist, so you want to term him as a farmer. He does farming too. How are you doing, Manjan? Welcome to the Youthful platform.
Yeah, thank you so much, Augustine. It's a pleasure to be here. And equally, I'm looking forward to a fruitful engagement. Thank you, guys. Back to you.
How was the Gambia today?
Yeah, it's about raining around. But however, we managed to have a comfortable seat somewhere within the garden, at least. Yeah, Gambia is cool. The environment is beautiful.
Well, great. Well, we are also glad to have you with us. We shall be joined by evangelist Deborah Freeman. Deborah Freeman is the executive secretary of the Informal Economy Workers Forum of Ghana. It's called the Inform. That's the acronym. And once we get her, she will be sharing with us her own experience and how it is with the informal sector in Ghana. And then also John O.F. Kangba is the Labor Inspector General of the Republic of Liberia. He shall be telling us more about that. And how is Monrovia, by the way? John Kangba, how are you doing, and welcome?
Well, I want to say a very big thank you to you, Augustine Biokoli, for affording us the opportunity to be on your platform, to share our thoughts and how we see the sector, and to provide what we know about the sector, and to educate the public also concerning the sector as well. But relatively, Liberia is kind. Liberia is moving forward under the stewardship of His Excellency Ambassador Jose Nyuma Boakai.
Well, thank you for being with us, as well as you, our cherished listeners and viewers. Join us and tell us more about what you know about these young people who are washing cars, those young people who are doing some housework, those people who are on the street selling. You can tell us more about how are they contributing towards the respective economies of their countries. Right now, let's listen to a summary of young people in the informal sector of West Africa, and WADR's Christopher Aticho gives the details.
The informal sector is teeming with dozens of jobs today. Among them are domestic workers, street vendors, and laborers, among others. The World Bank states in one of its recent reports that the informal sector represents approximately 75 to 85% of employment in West Africa, and thus the main driver of economic and daily survival in the region. For example, this sector absorbs 80 to 90% of the working population in several countries, and up to 97% in Senegal, according to the World Bank. Among the challenges faced by informal workers are daily struggles for survival, precarious employment due to lack of stable contracts, health insurance and retirement benefits, and lost revenue for government due to the underdeclared nature of the activities. Several West African governments are seeking solutions to modernize these activities. Agriculture dominates youth employment in the region. Almost all young people are in informal employment. The rate of young people without stable jobs remain high, particularly among women, with rates 50% higher than those of men in Benin, Guinea-Bissau and Togo. They are more than twice as higher in Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Niger and Senegal, and are more than 3 times as high in Mali.
Thanks to Christopher Aticho for those details. So now we have had an understanding or a summary of how it's like in West Africa. The young people are playing a significant role in the informal sector and by far contributing to the formal sector and the country in general, and also the West African sub-region. Let's now welcome Deborah Freeman on the show. How are you doing, Deborah? Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much. I'm doing well. I'm grateful that you've invited me to also share our experiences as far as the informal sector is concerned from Ghana. I'm happy to be here, and I believe that we're going to have very fruitful celebration. Thank you very much.
Indeed, welcome. We are happy as well. Let's now get the understanding of EALAS with us when it comes to young people in the informal sector. How would you describe the informal sector, and what role do you think you as a young person, your fellow young people, play in that sector?
I believe it's a very important sector. As we heard, it represents a large part of the GDP, a large part of the population, especially young people are working in the informal sector. And we, as young people, have to really engage, but also there's another part that is maybe not as great, which is there's less protection for human rights or workers' rights in the informal sector, and governments maybe should work more to formalize these sectors that represent a large part of the economy. It's not a bad thing, but you need to formalize it so that people can have more rights and taxation. Obviously, there needs to be some benefits to it, but that's what I think, basically.
Great. It's also important to know what are the jobs available in the informal sector. When we talk about these young people playing major role, what are they doing? I know one would say, yes, a few is listed as maybe the street selling, the agriculture. Could there be more?
Yes, there's definitely more. For example, myself, I've worked as a teacher or a tutor for because I'm able to speak English, and that's a skill maybe that's not widely spread here in Senegal. But it's just small stuff with my family and parents and trying to make ends meet, trying to get something. But there's also other jobs. You said the street vendors, but it's very spread throughout the economy. Like transportation. Here in Senegal, we have the clando. It's a lot of to get from point A to point B. There's the clando. There's the fruit salesman. There's a lot of various jobs in different parts of the economy.
That's great. Let's hear from the Labor Inspector General of Liberia, John Kangba. Would you mind, in addition to what Elias said, some of the informal works that have been done by young people in Liberia and by extension, the sub-region?
Yes.
Well, yes.
To the,
yes, please check your location. Yes, Mr. Kangba, please check your location and ensure that you are stable with the network because you're coming in broken, please.
It is raining in Liberia, to be sincere with you. It is raining in Liberia, so the network will be fluctuating.
Okay, it's okay
so
now.
So I just it's okay now.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was saying in short is that in addition to the informal sector that was listed, is the issue of these people commuting from one destination to another, the motorcyclists, for instance, like the keke riders. Those are informal sector, but they play a significant role in our countries across West Africa, most especially Liberia. The young generation, the young people are heavily involved into the keke, that is the tricycle, and even the motorcycle riding. They heavily involved into it to ensure that they get their ends meet, because the formal sector is more or less close than the informal sector. You know, when the government was talking about employment opportunity at the time, people took it from context. They talked that it is the government was basically talking about the formal sector, but the informal sector have a large portion of it, because the young people, the women, the youth are more or less involved into the informal sector. For Liberia, take for instance, like the issue of the Yana boys, or the people who are the street vendors, for instance, they provide more or less in the economy of our country. They help, because that's the only source of income for them. They use those resources that they generate from the street to feed their families, send their children, their kids to schools, and even pay their house rents. They use that sector, the income that they get from there, to pay those various fees, and they are doing that very well. And the challenge that they face, more especially those street vendors, is the issue of security in terms of where they go to get their ends meet. Sometimes they take advantage on the street to get their ends meet faster, but again, it impedes the movement of other people freely as well.
Okay. Yes.
So that's the time you see government coming into it to regulate them as well.
We will come to that.
Somehow.
We will come to that. Thank you so much. I just needed you to just give highlight of the jobs that are available within the informal sector. Let's hear from the angle of the informal sector workers, unions or forums or organizations that are, quote unquote, protecting or there to advocate for young people or workers within the informal sector. And that's where Evangelist Deborah comes in to tell us more about that. We sometimes see these people working, but in the formal sector, you have these workers' unions, and you are one of an executive of this organization from the informal economy. How well are the informal sector workers, particularly young people, represented and protected in terms of the work that they do from your angle?
Thank you very much once again for having me. Yes, from the union's perspective, as the previous speakers have spoken, about what the informal sector is all about. we all know that the informal sector constitutes over 80% of Africa's workforce. In Ghana is close to 90%. And in this economy or sector, women and youth dominate. And talking about the youth, the young people, unions or trade associations, in talking about our organization, the Informal Economic Workers Forum, our focus has been largely on women and youth because they form the larger part of the informal economy. I should say that the youth in unions, they are underrepresented because many of them, their parents are in the unions. It's easy to unionize, adults than the young people.
Well, I think the network, it's a problem from your end. Deborah, I hope you can make some adjustments and we will get right back to you. Let's cross over to Omar Majan from the Gambia. From the summer...
There are shops. I'm back. I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yes, just continue quickly.
So their parents want to...
Well, it seems so difficult. Just make adjustment. We'll get right back to you. You will continue after Majan. Majan, tell us, you are into the agricultural field.
To a shop.
Yes. Deborah, will come back to you. Just make the adjustment. We'll come back to you, please. Let's listen to Majan. We are concerned about why so many young people are turning to the informal economy or wanting to do informal work instead of formal employment. What could be the factors from your understanding, Majan? Majan, could you speak from your microphone if you're hearing us?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much once again. It's beautiful to be part of the platform once more. Looking at the potent nature of informal sector, as alluded by the other presenters, equally similar thing is happening in the Gambia. Informal sector has contributed to creating job opportunity to young people and equally helping families, enhancing food security, particularly in this area of agriculture. Because looking at the sector is like, if you take it longer, you realize that Africa in general, informal sector plays a very key role in terms of harmonizing our communities. If you go to structural communities, particularly farming communities, you get to realize that there are people responsible for artisanal work, for instance, fishing and the rest of others. And then again, you also go to other end, you realize that there are people as well who are responsible for smiths, like blacksmiths and the rest of others. So you realize that structurally in our communities, it is organized such in a way that everybody become productive. So that's the beauty of this informal sector. So let's say because of the colonial mindset and also colonial approaches, you later realize that some of these areas are also not looked into very seriously and so. But looking at it, many people will look at white collar job or going to the office and so. But however, you realize that that can only cater for few. But looking at this sector, informal sector, you realize that many have the opportunity to partake in these kind of activities because that's what you call apprenticeship. That's what you call mentorship and so on. So it's unlike the regular way where you go to school, you study for 12 years, for instance, in West Africa, WADR examination, you study for 12 years. After 12 years, you have maybe your bachelor's, 4 years and so. But if you look at the nature of the informal sector, if you are intelligent, a fast learner, you will be able to catch up within 2 or 3 years. And then again, you will be able to contribute effectively to the enhancement and also economic endowment to your family and so. So it's a very important sector. Here in the Gambia, it plays a very key role because our employment rate remains to be very high, particularly young people, and then women as well. So the only sector that is absorbing them in the lion number is that of that end. That is the informal sector. It provides a lot of employment. For instance, if you look at the agricultural value chain, you have the producers, you also have the processors, those who are into logistics and so on. So it is a very, very important area that cannot be overlooked. Yes, back to you.
It cannot be overlooked indeed. That's why we are discussing this issue. Let's hear from you, Ialans, as a young person and from the angle of being a student.
Yes.
And in the university, many young people still come out and then go into the informal sector.
Yes.
Despite having formal knowledge. And perhaps they could even do better with what they've learned in the classroom, but yet they go after the informal work. Would you mind adding addition to what could be, that breach?
Yes, it's a very common thing, like you said. I believe in the formal sector, as it was alluded before, there are a lot more barriers to entry. You need to go do administrative work, there's costs, there's registrations, so there's all of these barriers and also just the economy in West Africa, which there's a lot of unemployment, the formal jobs are really not available. There's not as many. So you can have someone like me who finishes, gets their degree, their master's degree, and then they're so educated, but there's no jobs. And then that's where they start looking elsewhere and trying to leave the country because there's just no opportunities, or you don't have a choice but to go do informal work. There's a lot of people that here in Senegal that finish the university and then they have to go do Yango, or they have to go do this, they have to go do that. It's a shame, but there's just the formal jobs are just not available. So they are forced to go to the informal sector.
Or the formal jobs are limited.
Yeah, exactly.
To the demand so far by the qualified young people. Now, let's consider the conditions under which these young people work. That's considering the challenges within the labor sector. And we're back to you, Mr. Kangba. What are the main labor challenges from your own experience facing young people working in the informal sector? And how does your institution also try to acknowledge these challenges and protect them from being affected by them? Would you please speak to the microphone, Mr. Kangba, if you're hearing us? Well, it seems another network issue. Could you also respond to the question, Deborah, if you're getting us?
Yes, please. Thank you very much. So in terms of challenges that young people face in the informal sector, of course, there are numerous challenges. Once we know that there is precarious work in the informal economy, we should know that it is the youth who suffer the precariousness the precarious aspect of the informal work in terms of job insecurity. Because, the youth are considered as the low-hanging fruit when it comes to employment by shop owners, contractors. They think that, I just need cheap labor. Because for young people, you just give them some peanuts and then you are good to go. Being that some of them also, when they return from school, their parents want them to at least do some economic activity so that they'll be able to mobilize some funds to send them back to school and all that. So low wages is one of the challenges they face. They are underpaid, and the job is also insecure. They lack rights at work. They lack social protection, workplace safety, and all that. These are many of the challenges they face. And as trade unions, we call these decent work deficits, because, of course, there are many decent work deficits in the informal sector. So as youth or young people who are working, it is expected that at least they will be given equal pay for equal work. But it doesn't happen often when it comes to youth employment. So it's a challenge that they face. And we believe that trade unions should be able to protect the working rights or labor rights of the youth. But here is the point I made earlier on, that it's not so easy, unionizing young workers, because some of them think that, they are just trying to make ends meet as their parents want them to. Only a few, some of them, they opt to do work in order to sustain themselves. But for many of them, it is by the influence of their parents. So many of them are not interested in joining unions, because it is unions or associations who have the what you call the labor rights, or the what you call the skills to be able to negotiate on their behalf. When you belong to an association or a trade union, that's when your labor rights can be, they can fight for your labor rights. But if you don't belong to a trade union, how can your labor rights, be fought for? So it's a challenge, and I would want to use this opportunity to encourage all young workers that, yes, please show interest in joining the associations, because you have numerous challenges, and it is the unions, trade unions, who can fight for your rights.
Well,
thank you.
That's interesting. It's also been reported that the agricultural sector employs millions of young people. But my question is, what opportunities that really exist for these young people to turn agriculture from just subsistence activities into a profitable business? Would you mind saying something about this, Manjan?
I think for now, any challenges can serve as an opportunity. Globally now, you realize that there are challenges in terms of healthcare, particularly if you looked at the prevalence of diabetics, hypertension, and any other diseases that are more prone is as a result of our lifestyle, equally what we eat. So agriculture plays a very important role, because most of the West African countries, looking at Ghana, for instance, the number of, or the amount of cocoa that is produced, and equally what that is been put to European market and also refined as well, put it into another project. So, and not only that, but even in the Gambia, Senegal, there are a lot of things, raw materials that will be processed and get back as a value addition at the rest of others. So you stated that the level of junk food that people take daily is not definitely helpful. So the only way is, how do we penetrate agricultural industry, eating organically, things that we produce? So that's a very good opportunity. And because already everybody want to live life, want to live good. So if you have a product that will help you to sustain yourself, because what we said, you are what you eat. So if young people can produce more, that's a very good opportunity. It's a market opportunity for them. And again, also, if you look at the agricultural value chain, looking at nowadays, for instance, now people are into mechanized system. You have people that are dealing with the logistics. You have sets of people that are doing the production. You have those that are also doing with the pest disease and so on. So agriculture as a sector, it is a very important potential area to provide employment in the area of informal sector. Food loss, post-harvest loss, they are becoming an issue. So therefore, these are all opportunities where young people can look into, invest in their energy, expertise, and then move forward.
Well, it's interesting, but let's hear from ELS in terms of his projection. With these challenges being spoken about, how would you view the future of young people in the informal sector if these issues are not addressed? How do you think Africa's youthful population will be like if the youth continue to dominate the informal sector and not the formal sector?
I think the only path forward is to transform, not to alienate or not to crack down on the informal sector. I believe you have to take all of these informal jobs and turn them formal. It's not about, like you said, a dark future or anything. But if we want to move forward, if we want to become developed countries, if we want to further produce more, have better economies, we have to turn these jobs from informal to formal, because there are many things that you cannot do with informal jobs. For example, just a simple one is finance. No bank or few banks will ever lend money to informal jobs. At least that is my understanding. And yeah, for this, just this is a barrier for young people to, like you said, go from just sustenance activity to profitable business. So yeah, I believe the issue is to transform, and you have to integrate these informal jobs into the formal economy.
Well, that's wonderful coming from you, Ialas. It's just a reminder that you are listening to Take the Lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio. Today we are discussing the contributions of young people in the informal sector to the national development of their respective countries. Let's listen to this report, and when we return, we shall be looking at the way forward to addressing these issues. And our correspondent in the Gambia, Rose Samara Cates, put this piece together. Please listen.
For many young people, the informal sector is not simply a temporal option while waiting for a formal job. It is where they find opportunities to earn an income, support their families, and build their own businesses. At busy markets, roadside locations, young street vendors sell food, clothing, fruits, drinks, and other everyday necessities. The business may be small, but collectively, they contribute to local trade and make sure goods are easily accessed to customers. One of them is Anna Mendy.
My little business actually helps me to sustain myself. It helps me to take care of my needs. Also, my transportation to school helps me to take care of my child as a mom, because I'm also a student. I lost student at the university.
A few meters away, young car washers are also turning simple service into a sector of income. Their work supports motorists while creating employment for young people who may otherwise struggle to find opportunities in the formal labor market. Bubanjai, a car wash owner, says,
My plan is to grow my car wash business by adding food service so we can serve more people without them coming to us. As we grow, I will hire more youth from the community, washers, detailers, and drivers, and train them properly. The goal is to build a business that gives good service to customers and create decent jobs at the same time.
While these young workers are creating livelihoods and providing essential services, their contribution goes beyond their daily earnings. Lamin Damfa, an economist, explains the economic impact of their work and what more can be done to support them.
If you look at young people in the informal sector, they are making a very significant contribution to national development. Many young people, they earn their livelihood through micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Among them, you also have those in agriculture, in transport, in construction, in tailoring, in food processing, other informal activities. If you look at their operations, they are not only creating income for themselves, but they are also supporting families, providing essential goods and services, and creating employment for others as well.
The International Labour Organization says informal employment dominates labour market across Western Africa, accounting to more than 70% of employment. In the West African Economic and Monetary Union, self-employment accounts for about 70% of young jobs, with informalities affecting almost all young workers. The biggest question is how governments can provide the skills, financing, protection, and opportunities needed to turn their everyday economic activity into stronger and more sustainable enterprises. For WADR, Rose Samara Cates, Banjul.
Thanks to Rose Samara Cates for that report. Now, what's the way forward? Many young people, they work long hours with little incomes. Some don't even have stable contracts. and to some extent, no health insurance. There's no retirement benefits. The fact is, it's an informal agreement where the employer can just wake up one morning because you came 2 minutes late, 5 minutes late, not considering your distance, not considering all the challenges, and then they just sack you without benefits. What can be done to ensure that these rights are restored and respected by people who employ these young people? Let's see if we can get the Labor Inspector General John Kangba responding to this issue about working long hours, low income, no stable contract, no formal contract, no health insurance. What can be done to address these situations?
Well, for us in Liberia, we have the Decent Work Act of 2015. And the Decent Work Act of 2015 covers both the informal sector and the formal sector. So there are, for other countries, I think they can emulate those examples from Liberia in terms of the Decent Work Act. Because the Decent Work Act covers most especially those who are in the informal sector, who are hired by these construction companies to work for them. So under the Decent Work Act of Liberia, it is spelled out that when somebody works with you, you give them a provisional period of 3 months to work for you. And after that 3 months, you give them contract on the duration of the work that you are doing as an employer. So take, for instance, they are doing this overpass bridge that is being constructed in Liberia. Those young population that are working with the constructing company, what normally they do is they give them contracts like 6-month contracts, and because it is informal though, but at least they give them contract because the Ministry of Labor is keen on those construction workers, so that they can be able to give them a decent salary that they can be able to go carry home to their family. But let's take, for instance, these store boys or these cashiers that work to those stores. They are also in the informal sector, but the DWA, the Decent Work Act, covers them as well. If they comes in contact with an employer who just wrongfully dismissed them, under the Decent Work Act of Liberia, we investigate that matter. If the matter is investigated and it is established that that individual was wrongfully dismissed, the law is clear that the person who hired them, who did not give them contract, and they just decide to allow them to work after 3 months probational period, we have to pay them for 24 months.
Okay.
Now, because the law is there to show that
let me ask you quickly. Have you had an instance of such situation where
yes, of course we have most of it, and we apply those laws. There was a situation where those waitress at a specific hotel, I will not call the name because we are on our platform, and that hotel, the next day when the children went to work, the employer just immediately sacked them. They said they never wanted them. They were almost 15 persons. And then they asked them to pay them off. They said they could not pay them off. So when they came to the Ministry of Labor, and we went there and told the management that you wrongfully dismissed these people, so you have to pay them, and what the law says. And of course, they managed to pay them. But again, what can normally happen is that those entities, like I was talking about the overpass bridge, though they have subcontractors that hire these daily hire to come and do some piece of work at those places. So some of them do not go in depth to ensure that they give them like insurance. But there are laws on the book that whenever a person works and you are paying them, they pay Social Security tax. That is 4% of their salary.
Okay.
It's deducted. And when it is deducted, it is remitted to the Social Security. So at the end of the day, if you reach the threshold of retirement and they retire you, that number that is given to you as your Social Security number, now you receive pay from Social Security, the NASCO now in Liberia, that you will go there, and once the documentation is finally done, they pay you monthly.
Okay.
But they will pay you 50% of your salary that you were in when you got retired.
Thank you. Thank you, Kangba. Now, many of these young people are not even aware of these laws. Many of these young people are not aware of their rights. They are only concerned about finding something to do to sustain themselves. What can we do from the angle of the Informal Workers Union? To you, Deborah, what can we do to address this situation so that these young people are aware of the laws that protect them despite working in the informal sector?
Thank you very much. Yes, we need to mobilize more, organize more young people into the unions, into the associations, and to do more of sensitization and education for them to know that the fact that they are informal workers does not mean that they do not have their rights, labor rights. They do have their labor rights. And so they should be aware of these rights so that they will insist that these rights are respected. So it's more of mobilizing, it's more of organizing the young people into the associations, into the unions, and also dealing with decent work deficits in the informal sector. But it starts with the young people knowing what their rights are, so that they will ensure that people respect these rights. When it comes to the way forward, I think that we need to promote entrepreneurship the more. And as the speaker in the studio said, we have to take informal jobs and turn them into formal jobs. That's very, very important because the informal economy has come to stay. However, we can manage to formalize the activities within the informal economy. And I believe that that should be the way forward. Of course, we look at what the formal workers enjoy. There is job security, there is social security, there are rights at work, you know, they have formal contracts. These are the things we are looking out for, and many more. So
Okay.
I think that unions have more work to do. Thank you.
Well, let's hear from Manjan from the Gambia in terms of these issues. What would you say about government's efforts, NGOs, towards ensuring that the young people do not just mainly be into informal work, that this informal work can be formalized so that they benefit as well, just as those being employed in the formal sector?
Yes, I think the government, NGOs, civil society organizations, they have a very big role to play in that. Particularly if you come to the government where they can provide a level playing ground or sort of a safe zone for people that are into informal sector. Particularly if even at the curriculum development, particularly in the tertiary institution, there could be courses on entrepreneurship and stuff like that. So these will help to help the young people turning that informal sector, turning them to be a formal domain. That will also help to provide formalize certain areas where that will also ensure job security and also ensuring that the human right is well observed and it's going good paid and job security and the rest of others. So these are very, very good opportunities and that the government can also look into that, helping those that are into that area can at least have a very good ground with security attached to their domain as well. And again, incubation hubs, as well as Chamber of Commerce and the rest of others, they can all play a significant role where this sector can help to potentially change those that are into that, putting them into a more programmatic domain, making them to be more formalized and improving to ensure that the conditions of their work is well established. I'm sure the government and definitely, and again, if you come to the civil society organization, they also play a very good important role where the rights of these people can be protected, and again, their voice can also be heard, and so on. And so all those things are things that I want to believe if those things play their part as well, definitely it becomes a site that can live alongside with the formal sector, supporting each other.
All right. Thank you, Manjan. Let's also hear from Ialas with regards to your message to young people who are in the informal sector, considering entering the formal sector, maybe because they've not been treated fairly in the informal sector. So now they're going back to what they've started in the classroom.
I think it's a very legitimate pathway to try to go from the informal to the formal sector. It's very hard. Like I said earlier, the jobs are not available, but very hard does not mean impossible. So if you work, you get really good at job interviews, you make your CV as strong as possible, you have as many internships as you can. It can be you. I have many friends that are in the formal sector. Very hard does not mean impossible. So even this is a message to myself. So keep fighting.
Well, great. It's been a wonderful time. Let's thank you, Mr. Kangba, for being with us today on the show. We really appreciate you for sharing your thoughts with us today, sir. We will keep you in touch just in case we need you for another infrequent discussion. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so kindly.
All right. And to you, Madam Freeman, thank you also for joining us today. We will keep in touch with you, please.
Thank you for having me.
All right, great. Manjan, it's been a pleasure hearing from you from the Gambia. Thank you so much. We'll keep in touch with you too.
Noted. Thank you so much. Looking forward to that.
Okay, right. Thanks to you, Elias, for being with us as well. We are so very proud to have you in our studio today. I know you are always willing to share your ideas, so we'll keep in touch with you for another interesting discussion.
Thank you.
Well, listeners and viewers, that's it on this edition of Take the Lead on West Africa, the Democracy Radio, broadcasting all the way from Dakar, Senegal. Our guest has been Ialads, Omar, Evangeline Deborah, and John Kangba, sharing their thoughts with us. Please join us next Friday for another important discussion right here. But always remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Cully. I will speak with you on the show another time. Bye for now.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea, and I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Binta Rasuke. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop, and I love listening to your program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.